What's going on, y'all? This is your boy Kel coming to you with another video, and I want to talk about the Elite Eight games from yesterday and the Elite Eight games of today. Well, my picks of the Elite Eight games for today. But first, I'm going to start off with yesterday's Elite Eight games. Loyola, Chicago. The glass slipper is will be on their feet as they go to San Antonio as they defeat the K-State Wildcats. 78-62 was the final score. Big player in that game was Ben Richardson from a little close to where I live here in Kansas City, Missouri. He's from Overland Park, Kansas. Him and his buddy Clayton Custer won a couple of state titles at Blue Valley Northwest. Like I said again, right across the border in Kansas, man. They've been playing basketball their lives. Now they're in the Final Four. Richardson was dead on from three, man. I think he finished 6 of 7. I mean, the dude was just red hot, bro. I mean, it seems like throughout their 4 games, there's been 4 different guys that's been able to get it done for the Ramblers, or especially when they've needed it. Of course, the first 3 games. First game, they beat Miami. Dante Ingram hits the game winner. Game win 3-pointer. Put them up. They win by 2. Then it was Clayton Custer hitting the shot the lane to beat, who was that? I forgot who they beat. I think it was Tennessee. They beat Tennessee in the second round. They were down 1. Custer hits a shot in the lane. I think about 4 seconds left. They're able to hold on to that victory. They win by 1. And then it was Marquise Towns hitting the I guess you can't say it was a dagger. They were already up 1. Towns hits a big 3-pointer, put them up by 2 possessions. Nevada hits a shot late, but then they couldn't get a shot off at the end of regulation. And Loyola Chicago wins by 1. And, then Ben Richardson yesterday, again, cold-blooded from 3, 6 of 7. He actually had 23 points, not 24. But it's a total team effort, man. Total team effort. Crudwick, the big man, he has some nice buckets. He grabbed rebounds, good defense. Just a total team effort with these guys, man. Really fun to watch. Now, I, like a lot of people, had them losing to Miami in the first round. I mean, I've had them losing every game. I've had them losing every game that they played. Well, I actually felt they could get past Nevada. I mean, but again, the Cardiac Wolfpack, as I called them, they always found a way to come back in the game, but they just fell short against Loyola Chicago. Nevada had the 14-point comeback in the first game. Who was that? Who they played the first game? It don't matter for now. They're eliminated. But then they had a 22-point comeback in the second game. And they almost came back against the Ramblers, but Ramblers were able to hold on. I mean, Sister Jean, she's been the star of the tournament, man. I mean, she said it. They're on a mission from God. I mean, and now they're in the Final Four. I mean, you can't really question that now. I mean, these guys are seriously on a mission from God. Now, whether that whether that mission is to actually win the championship, they've definitely become that Cinderella team that we're used to seeing, in these, since the 2000s. The 4th 11 seed ever to make the Final Four. Yeah, George Mason, VCU. There was another team I forget. I don't know what seed Butler was. One of those 2 years where that first year with Gordon Hayward, where they made it to the championship game. But I mean, small school in Chicago. Again, 2 guys from the Kansas City metro area where I live, going to the Final Four. That's huge, man. That's really huge. I mean, it's like some of these analysts are saying, the way these guys are playing, like, these dudes can ball. I mean, you got Krutwick in the middle, inside, and you got four shooters on the outside. You got Custer, you got Richardson, you got Towns, you got Ingram, guys off the bench coming in and making an impact. I mean, this is really a complete team, and it's going to be scary for Michigan and whoever comes out of the other side of the bracket, man. I mean, this Loyola. I mean, I hate to say it, but this Loyola team can really be that Villanova team in '85. They can be that who's that Texas Southern team that beat Kentucky back in the '60s with the all-black starting lineup. They can be one of those teams, man. But real quick, want to hit on real quick on Kansas State. Great year, of course. Without the Virginia loss to UMBC, you wonder how close they were going to get, to be honest. But I mean, a heck of a run. Beat Creighton in the opening game. Shut down the former K-State Wildcat Marcus Foster. I think he only scored like 2 or 4 points or something like that. I mean, then beat UMBC, the America's sweetheart before. Well, I guess they were kind of American sweethearts at the same time, but UMBC was really the American sweetheart because they were the first 16 seed ever to beat a one, and they beat down Virginia. They didn't upset Virginia. They beat the hell out of Virginia, but they beat them, and then they beat Kentucky, man. And they did it with defense. I mean, that was probably the most impressive thing. Kentucky did. K-State beat these teams with defense, I mean, they had to because Dean Wade, stress fracture in his foot, couldn't really play much. Didn't play. He didn't play in the first game. He played about 8 minutes in the second game against UMBC. Played a little. I'm sorry. He played 8 minutes against Kentucky, I believe, in the first half. He really wasn't himself. He got the injury. I think he got the injury in the Big 12 tournament, and really wasn't himself. I mean, but they had 25 wins for Kansas State. All those guys not really big in the draft, really, so you would expect all those guys to come back. I mean, Barry Brown, man. I mean, he was basically he was the floor general. He was basically the other key player alongside Dean Wade. And I mean, he stepped up. He showed his worth without Dean Wade in the lineup. Of course, remember the game-winning layup against Kentucky. Was that Thursday? That was huge, man. He stepped up big. Xavier Sneed, he did well too. That's that athletic guy at the three. He's not really known for his scoring, but he stepped the scoring up with Dean Wade out. Kamal Stokes did good. McGurl did good. Kansas City, Missouri hometown boy, Ma Rainwright, he did what he could off the bench, and everyone's talking about how they're going to be stacked. They're going to be a stacked team next year, and one team that could, again, possibly challenge Kansas for that regular season conference championship streak again next year. Of course, Kansas, they got some of the top recruits in the nation coming in, so they're going to be stacked like they always are. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight again next year. Moving on to the second game last night, Florida State and Michigan in LA. Michigan is going to the Final Four again. They beat Florida State 58-54. Now, honestly, I did not see much of this game last night. To be honest, I'm just honestly speaking. I was looking at the game, and then laying in your bed, you're tired. One thing leads to another, and you're looking at the game, and it was like 9 o'clock. Then you wake up, it's like 12. Next thing you know, it's like 12 midnight, and the game is off, and you catch the highlights. But like I said, I don't really have much about this game, but the the thing that everyone was talking about was Florida was down four. With Florida State was down four with about at least 10 seconds left. They miss a shot, and then they decide not to foul. And yeah, you heard the announcers talking about it on TBS. You heard I've heard analysts all morning talk about how, like, why didn't Leonard Hamilton and the Florida State Seminoles foul? And then I seen the post game interview, the cringy post game interview that Dana Jacobson had with Leonard Hamilton, and Leonard Hamilton looked confused and kind of thrown off guard by the question. She asked, "Why didn't you foul in that situation?" But then, of course, the comment that was that everyone got out of the situation was, he said the game was over. Now, I coach youth basketball. I just got to finish up our season. We didn't do too well, but a 2-possession game with about 10 seconds left on the clock. Even me as being a youth coach, I'm fouling. I'm making that team beat me from the free throw line. Seriously, I'm making this team beat me from the free throw line. It all comes down to free throw shooting. Most cases, in the end. And we've seen where teams have been able to make their free throws. We've seen where teams haven't been able to make their free throws and then turn the ball over. And the game changes in the last 5-6 seconds. Remember that Virginia-Louisville game? They were down 4 with less than a second left. You have missed free throws, you have turnovers by Louisville, and Virginia somehow wins the damn game. So you can't say the game is over, when you're only down 4 or you're only down 6. When you're only down 2 possessions, and it's 10 seconds. And 10 seconds is like 5 minutes. That's an eternity, man. So I don't understand why they didn't foul there. I'm just saying, did he not know they were down 4, or did they just give up? I just can't see Leonard Hamilton, a great coach that he is, just give up. Give up like that at the end of the game, at the end of a game, with your season on the line, with the Final Four appearance on the line. Like I said, that's all I gotta say about that game. I did pick Michigan to get this far, but of course I had to pick them to lose in the Elite Eight. I picked them to lose in the Elite Eight. I think they were supposed to face North Carolina, but a roadblock got in the way of that. But that's neither here nor there. As far as the Elite Eight games today, they're early games. I'm thankful on a Sunday. They're early games. It's not like last week where they're same time period, Maybe got to go to work in the morning on Mondays and you stay up till 11 or 12 watching these games. But first game is Texas Tech and Villanova. I got Villanova in this game. I had them. Did I have them get into the Final Four? I don't think I did, because I had North Carolina get into the Final Four. But I think North Carolina was in that group. I'm not sure, but I forget now. But in some brackets, not my good bracket, but in some brackets, I think I did have Villanova get to the Final Four. One of the most complete teams in the nation. Got the Bees, Brunson, Booth, Bridges, and those guys. And of course, Jay Wright, winning a title a couple years ago. He's going to have these guys ready. Texas Tech. I'm not gonna say they overachieved. I'm not gonna say they overachieved. They are a 3 seed, but they kind of did better than I thought they would. But they had the best player back that they didn't have in those games against Kansas and stuff in the Big 12, where they kind of stumbled down the stretch. Where they really could have had the Big 12 regular season title, but It's neither here nor there. I have Villanova advancing over Texas Tech. And then in the other game, the Blue Blood game, Kansas, Duke. They met 5 times. Duke has the overall lead 3-2 over Kansas. I just think, I mean, this is going to be an interesting game because there's 2 conflicting styles that can kind of, it depends on which team can execute their best game better. Of course, Kansas, their best game is 3-point shooting. Mikhail, Graham, Newman, who's coming on strong, Dick, those guys, hitting it from 3-point range. And then the big man, Azubuike, Lightfoot, DeSosa. I don't know how much Lightfoot's going to see because he's tall, but he's not athletic, man. Going up against Wendell Carter and Bagley, man. You got to have some athletic movement. I don't even think Azubuike can really keep up with Carter and stuff in the post. So that's going to be interesting. And then of course, again, Duke, you playing inside with those guys, Bagley and Carter Jr. I just don't know how these KU big men will keep up with the Duke big men. And then of course, Duke plays the 2-3 zone now that they got from Boeheim and in Syracuse. And the 2-3 zone, if Kansas executes good passing, good passing leads to great shots in a 2-3 zone. They lead to open shots, and then KU's been great at knocking down shots. So it really depends on, who executes better. Can the Duke big men get theirs inside against the undersized KU big men? Can KU knock down opportunities from 3-point range like they've been doing? And can they take Duke out of the game that way? Can they make Duke have to be a 3-point shooting team? If they do that, if they hit their shots, which they're going to be plenty of open shots if they pass the ball well in a zone, I think they're going to make shots, and then it's all according to how Duke will answer that. Maybe puts De Sousa in the starting lineup. Maybe he takes Vic out, or he takes Newman out of the starting lineup and put De Sousa in there to kind of counter the 2 big men. I don't know, but that's going to be an interesting game. I got Duke in there again. Best starting 5 in the nation, best coach in the field. They're my champion anyway, so for those 2 reasons. So I got Duke advancing. But that's it for this sort of Elite 8 video. I'll probably have a wrap-up video after these 2 games are over today. And I'll get back to you for the rest of the Final Four. I've been lagging on my videos, but I'm going to try to pick it back up. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to see y'all next time.